Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today my guest is Chad E. Cooper, speaker, coach, and author of Time Isn't the Problem, You Are. 4 strategies to transform stress into success. This is pretty cool because he's a Michigan boy just like I am, and we kicked it and we dropped some science on you. So stay tuned. There's some things that you can learn today about what you need to transform your life. Chad has some great things for more career success, more satisfaction in your relationships, more financial rewards, and more fulfillment everywhere in your life. So stay tuned. So how you doing today, Chad?
I am doing fantabulous. If our former presidents can make up words, I can make them up too.
I'm going to just start off and ask you, what are you working on at this moment? What is your passion? What has got your mojo working in the morning and getting you out of bed?
Wow. I've got really 3 things that I'm working on. Not in any particular order, I'll say. The first is my 12-week program. So I have a 12-week curriculum membership, 12 weeks to create your legendary lifestyles. So similar in terms of that billion-dollar lifestyle, right? That's something that I've got a 97% graduation rate, is absolutely transformational. I love it. It's been going fantastic. But, of course, you always want to reach more people. The second is I'm actually working in helping some individuals on billion-dollar strategies.
Good deal.
Yeah, so working with the caliber of people I've worked with in the past, there's a couple of guys that we're getting together. We've all worked with very high caliber individuals, and we're looking at creating a next level solution to really kind of create that league of extraordinary gentlemen, I guess you could say. And of course, the third is clean up from the hurricane that just came through.
Yeah.
And making sure that the next one doesn't just go away. Do not come through. Maria is not welcome. Or Marla or whatever her name is. No more. Okay. Go away. We don't want you. But I'm actually prepping, and I create adventure trips and charities. And so I've got a foundation that I'm a founding board member on, and down in Guatemala, in building a team to go down there in March. So that's part of, I think, really kind of the billion-dollar lifestyle has to include giving back.
Now, I have to correct you. It is not the billion-dollar lifestyle. It is the billionaire lifestyle. This is a vast difference because it is literally, life is not about money.
I love it.
Billionaire. Because here's the whole point, that I interview people like you and business creators. It doesn't even have to be a business creator. It could be someone who is just going after what their heart sends them to. Because, and the reason I say this is, everybody doesn't want to have 5 houses, a Bentley. Some people just want to I just want to raise my kids in a safe environment, and then I want to sit on the front porch with my spouse or with my family, with my grandkids. It's different, and this is what I'm trying to impart, is that life is literally abundant, and everybody does not want the same thing. But here's where you come in. Sometimes there's things in life that you need coaching through. There's somebody who has paved the way already, and you need their guidance, or you can just be an inspiration for somebody. For instance, at the age of 35, you said, I'm done. I'm working for myself. I'm retired. I'm ball game out. Tell me how that came about.
Well, we have a lot more in common, Emmett, than what most people may think, and in terms of that lifestyle. And so at 35, the definition, by the way, of legendary lifestyles is not by society standards, because that's really low bar. And so it's by our own standards, just as you said. And so legendary is as unique as an individual's fingerprint. And knowing that to that level of detail is what allows you to have a billionaire lifestyle, right? It's what allows you to have a legendary lifestyle. And at 35, I really got to the point where I said, financially, I can afford to walk away. Now, bear in mind, we're both from the same community, right? We're both from the Detroit area.
We're Michigan people.
And we know what happened with the Great Recession.
Yes.
And I think in reality it was a depression. They just don't want to call it that. It was pretty crappy. It sucked, okay? And yet I retired knowing that was coming. It really wasn't that difficult to see. You could see the recession coming.
Yeah.
All you had to do was look for the signs. And yet I still retired because I was able to financially do that. Now, I worked for a small little computer company, Emmett, that you've probably never heard of, called Microsoft. You've heard of them before.
Yeah. Just a tad.
But here's the thing. I didn't retire because of my stock awards. Now, it certainly didn't hurt. I was making good money. But the reality was I saved first and spent what was left over.
Oh, say that again. Say that again.
I saved first and spent what was left over.
You hear that, people? That's number one.
So my approach is very much the same in terms of choosing that lifestyle. I worked for and partnered with the number one coaching organization in the world, okay? Somebody who's called the father of coaching. Shouldn't take you too much research to figure out who that was. Worked side by side with this individual in coaching billionaires, multimillionaires, financial tycoons, professional athletes, and Olympians. And they made the mistake one day and said, Chad, you retired at 35 the first time. Now, I say the first time because I'm not the guy that's going to be sitting on the golf course, Emmett. That's not me. That's not my lifestyle. That's prison sentence, okay?
Right.
So they said, you retired the first time at 35. What do you do? How do you actually schedule? Because I'm known as the time guy. They said, how do you schedule your week to be able to make your lifestyle happen? I said, well, I think you guys made an error. You probably don't want to know the real answer, because the reality is I schedule my vacation and personal time first, and I put my career or all of my work things after that. And so they went, wait a minute, what? I said, think about it. How many of us work for somebody else, or we're our own business owner, and then the business owns us, basically, for a lot of people. So when we do that, we fill our calendar to the brim with agenda items, with all the things we have to do, right?
Yep.
Which leaves us how much room for vacation and personal life?
Well, average American, maybe
None.
40 hours a week, if they can get that.
Well, no, I'm saying how much vacation time does that leave you in a year?
Oh, yeah, we usually have to squeeze it in, figure it out,
Yeah.
if we can.
You're always cutting yourself short. You're always going, there's never enough time. I flip that, and I actually schedule that first. And here's why. One is because I'm my most important client. If I'm healthy, if I'm present, if I'm financially, physically, and lifestyle abundant, then I'm showing up 100% for you. I'm focused. I'm paying attention. The second is if I know that I only have a certain amount of time in the day, I'm more effective and productive in the business-related activities that I'm doing. So you actually effective. That is a billionaire's lifestyle behavior. So that's why I walked away at 35.
That was pretty awesome that you and I have never really just sat down and talked about our concepts. But when you get down to the root of it, it is so in alignment, and it's so hard to impart that upon people because people are so pressed for chasing money that they forget about the time factor. And you are spot on with exactly what you were saying with that. So you're a young man. You know, you got the nice little thing. I like your backdrop and everything.
Good looking, all that.
There you go. That's that Michigan coming out of you.
Humble.
Talk to me. So, you got out of the IT industry and you start living your passion. Did you see this early on, or did it just kind of over a short period of time, like maybe 5 years or so, you said, this is the path that's calling me. It's what I am living, and I can spread this to other people.
Yeah, my path is not what you would call a clean, direct line. It was very awkward, very what at the time seemed very disseparate and disconnected. The reality is that there was always a common element underneath that. The first piece in that is, my background. I'm a former U.S. Marine, regimental Marine, so award-winning and kicked butt serving my country. And I say that because pretty much anything that I've done. I'm a former semi-professional, major-sponsored Ironman triathlete. When I decide I'm going to do something, I do it, right? I mean,
right.
That's just the way that you are when you come from Detroit, right? You don't talk the talk, or you're going to get called out,
right?
You either walk the walk, or you just best not be saying anything.
Right.
So, I was raised with walk the walk. And so my background is been an accomplished resume. But what I actually found was at times I was chasing money. And when you do that, you end up being the one that actually ends up paying way more because of the jobs that you take and the things that you do.
That's true.
And so that path, it really kind of took me from the military to college to a career in the IT industry. And in all of that, my undergrad was in psychology and religion. So I've always wanted to serve. I've always, had this kind of affinity to why, and it drives people nuts. All you do is ask why, because I like to find out. But I actually, when I retired, was able to take that, get certified as an ICF coach. That's the worldwide regulatory body. And I was asked to come in and partner with the #1 coaching organization in the world and help really create something tremendous there. But in that process, I really had to ask myself, when I hit 35 and retired, when I hit 40, I applied for the Guinness World Record of the most popular bucket list items completed, 900 by the age of 35. Okay. So when I hit 40, I went, oh crap, have I peaked? Is this all there is? I was like, yeah. Oh no. At the same time, that moment where you're like, yeah, oh, it's like go deer hunting, or, I was boar hunting and I took out 2 boar with one bullet. And I'm like, yeah. Oh crap. Now I got to pay for 2. So it's right, that mixed blessing, right?
I've been there with you. I know that.
Sorry for anybody who's, Wait
a minute, let me ask you. Were you bow hunting, or were you was it with a rifle?
I'm a former combat engineer, demolition specialist in the Marine Corps. I don't bow hunt, man. We blow it up.
Come on, man. You're from Michigan. You got to have a tree stand, and you got to have a bow at least. You got to go hunting for 4-legged deer.
That's my brother's billionaire lifestyle. That is not my lifestyle. I am all about a clean done. Right?
What you like?
I'm not chasing that thing for hours.
I got you on that.
So here's the thing: is at a certain point, I peaked and I freaked out at the same time. And so this was really a journey for myself in where this discovery came from, because I went, I've got, God willing, 40, 50, 60 years left in front of me.
Yeah.
What am I going to do if I've peaked? And so I actually had to take that formula that allowed me to retire at 35, work it backwards, and be able to replicate it. Now, there's a lot of gurus, a lot of coaches, a lot of people out there, Emmett, that will say, hey, here's the formula. The challenge with that is many of them will give the formula that worked for them to have that success. And they haven't actually made sure that it will apply for others. And mentors, advisors will say, well, this is the path I went down, therefore you need to take this path. And that's not what coaching is about at all. So because of my background in coaching, I was able to sit back and say, okay, here's a formula. But will it work across the spectrum? Will it serve everybody for their definition of a billionaire lifestyle? And the answer was yes. And so I tested it and I created a program around it. I wrote a book around it that then turned into the program, and I speak, etc. But that's really where it came from, was really a selfish, I had to figure out what kind of lifestyle I want moving forward. I achieved everything I wanted to and went, tell me this isn't all there is. Tom Brady did the same thing. He was in Rolling Stone magazine after his 4th Super Bowl ring. He says, I'm the guy that's got 4 Super Bowl rings. Tell me that this isn't all there is. And of course, he's gone on to 5, and who knows, if he'll get more. Brad Pitt said the same thing, ironically, in Rolling Stone magazine. He says, look, I'm the guy who's got everything. I got money. I got celebrity. I got the private jet. But at the end of the day, it doesn't help me sleep any better. And so we have to really identify. What I was able to do is, through a lot of work, say, what is it that we're really looking for? And I was able to find that that's a big piece of the book, and that is really going into that whole balance issue of what is our purpose. And many people think, well, a billionaire. No, it's a billionaire lifestyle, or what?
That's
it.
it.
One more time.
The billionaire. Okay. You're trying to live your billionaire lifestyle, which means you have the freedom to do what your heart, your mind, your body desires.
Exactly. So it isn't that, and people make the mistake of, once I have $1 billion in the bank, then I'll be complete. Once I have the right house, the right car, the right number of kids in my life, all of these things, the right job title, etc., then I'll be happy. But yet we have a history of sad outcomes. Robin Williams, Philip Seymour Hoffman is most recent, right? Is 2 brilliant people. Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Chris Farley, right?
Yep.
People who seemingly had it all but weren't happy. And so our purpose is not a thing or a number of things. Our purpose is how you want to feel. Our purpose is a set of feelings: gratitude, joy, abundance, love.
Oh my goodness, man. For the month of September, I am performing a 30 for 30, which is 30 podcasts in 30 days.
Nice.
Every one of the things you just said was at least one of the topics on one of those items. And that's pretty awesome. Let me digress here. So your book, Time Isn't the Problem, You Are, and it's 4 strategies to transform stress into success. Now, that's the one thing that we're all battling in this planetary life on Earth is time. The one thing you cannot make more of or get more of is time. So how is it that you have these 4 strategies that will help people to maximize their existence?
So Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, 2 well-known names, right? Richest people in the world. They did an interview in January 2017 and had been waiting for this moment for decades. And they interviewed with Charlie Rose. And Bill Gates or Warren says, look, I can buy anything in the world. The one thing I can't buy is 1 hour more of time. Doesn't matter how much money you have. So it's the great equalizer, Emmett. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your gender or your ethnicity or where you came from culturally or financially. The one great equalizer is we get 168 hours every week, no more, no less. What these people that we see as successful do is they know how to maximize that 168 hours. So if we try to shoot for balance every day, it's pretty difficult to get that. But if we try to actually strive for maybe 168 hours at a time, 1 week at a time, then it's totally doable. And so the premise is really, the key is to know what charges our batteries. And if you know what charges your batteries, then it's about being able to understand your purpose. And our purpose is a feeling. So we incorporate our feelings, something very controversially, we don't do this, and we actually put that in the subject line of our events. Look, nobody wants to work out.
Wait.
Unless you're as twisted as me.
You got to explain that to me. Let's break that down.
Yep.
So you said people put their feelings in the subject line.
They put their purpose, which is a set of feelings.
Okay.
And so if we know what charges our batteries, then we make that a priority and we actually block the time. So for example, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's prayer, maybe it's TV, Maybe it's going to the beach. Maybe it's spending some time, quality time with your kids or intimate time with your spouse. Maybe it's spending some time with your guy friends. So if we know what actually charges our batteries and we put that in, then we can actually create that balance. But the problem is people are stressed because they look at their calendar like, oh my gosh, I've got 60 hours a week. Look, 40 hours a week was never a number anybody ever achieved. 40 hours was a number that was defined by the unions to determine regular time versus overtime. That's it. They still worked. So we all know that we're working our butt off, right, typically. The difference is how we do that. So as an example, how many of us, as a parent, feel guilty we don't get enough time with our kids?
Everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So what do we do when we get that opportunity? Most of us may miss it the majority of the time because what happens is we put things in our calendar that say drop off the kids at school or band practice or soccer or wherever we're taking them, right?
Yep.
And what actually happens during that time? Well, you're in a rush because you didn't plan, you didn't put any cushion into your calendar for that travel time, right? You're like, okay, I got to get off with Emmett and I got to run and do this, right? No, just a theory. But I actually create that padding in there. And instead of I've got to drop my kids off at school, what I actually say in my calendar is I have safely traveled, spending quality one-on-one time, transporting my son to an extraordinary day. Now, there's three premises in that.
You just talked a lot of stuff into being when you said that simple thing. You brought thought into reality.
I changed an event in our calendar from a human doing back into a human being. Who do we want to be in that moment? So if I've safely traveled, that means I've left with enough time to deal with congestion, construction, or maybe that special someone that's giving you a certain gesture that upsets us.
Yeah, it's making the Michigan left.
That's Michigan left. There you go. Spending quality one-on-one time means that I'm not sitting here talking on the phone, returning a voicemail, or talking to somebody else, and my son's in the back seat tuned out on some screen tablet, right? We're actually connecting. We actually make use of that time because it's a quality moment and helping set him up for an extraordinary day. I ask him 2 questions every day. And if I forget, he reminds me. What are you going to do to make the ordinary extraordinary? And who's going to be better because of you today? And so it's about what we focus on. And in all of that, I know the strength of my purpose. See, there was a great financial guy most people never heard of called Albert Graham. And he says, it's not your strength that holds you to your purpose. It's the strength of your purpose itself. Most of us use discipline to think it's going to get us across the finish line. And it doesn't. Trust me, I know. I'm a former Ironman triathlete.
So what is it that gets you across?
The strength of the purpose itself. Those feelings. Why do you stick with something, Emmett, when it's painful, when it sucks, when you don't want to keep going, but you know you have to keep going, you don't quit? It's because you know the strength of the purpose. That giving up is more painful than continuing to push forward to cross the finish line.
So for instance, this comes down to something that I talked about a couple of days ago, which is a lot of people don't know this, and that is why. You said it earlier. You were like, I keep asking people why. My dad used to do this when you would get in trouble. He was, when I was a kid, he was formidable. He was the Hulk.
Tenacious.
Yes. And my mom was like 5'2", and she was, when she got to her wits' end, she's like, I'm going to call your father. Oh. And my dad.
It's over.
No,
it's done.
My dad would psychologically pick you apart, and he did it with really simple thing. So, why are you late? I was late coming. I was hanging out with my friends. My mom's pissed, and my dad would usually take me somewhere. He'd be so calm about it, and he would simply go, so why did that happen? And I would say, well, I was just hanging out with my friends. But why were you hanging with their friends? Because I thought they were cool. But why were you late? You were hanging with your friends. Because we got busy doing, but why did you do that when you knew you had to be there? So he hit you with why until you got down to like, I'm stupid.
When you finally got down to an emotion.
Yeah.
I could guarantee you got down to an emotion. Because what people don't realize, what great salespeople understand, is that people buy an emotion and support it with logic. And our calendars, our lifestyle is the same way. We buy an emotion and support it with logic. Nobody wants to work out, Emmett. Most people do not want to work out.
Yes,
right?
You're true. True.
Unfortunately, a fact of life. So my calendar, instead of it saying workout, which sounds like work, hence the word work out, right? Sounds painful. It sounds like something that's good for me but doesn't feel good. So instead, the first premise of my book in the course is about language matters. And so if we can put our purpose into that, mine actually says building slow and strong in order to go beyond. And I'll mix it up. Other workouts will say being the example of character to my son. And I take adventures in charity work together. And so I've done things with Navy SEALs. I've done things across the Grand Canyon and back to New Zealand, et cetera. And that will be being in condition to lead from the front. So in each of those, the strength of the purpose is evident in the actual subject line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you've covered some cool things which wrap up a lot of your core message, which is purpose. You've talked about how language matters. And now there are some other things, because I always talk about, particularly nowadays, we've gone from this very hyper masculine society to a society that is very much on the dominant,
polar opposite.
Yeah, dominant feminine
we call
side.
It the cis. Well, it's
so
moving that is
that
one
way.
of my specialties. It's a very offensive word, which I will spare our audience from. Okay, and it's meant to offend. It's meant to startle and wake people up. The politically correct is, and that's exactly the problem, is it's politically correct, is sissy boy. But in the feminine, it's actually calling the feminine butch.
Right.
But here's the thing, is I don't believe you can have a billionaire lifestyle without embracing both your masculine and feminine energies. See, in coaching, the vast majority of coaches will coach from 3 out of the 4 quadrants: physical, logical, emotional, and that's where they rest. But I don't believe that you can be a masterful coach. I don't believe that you can truly help people without the 4th quadrant, which is spiritual.
I knew it was coming. I was just waiting for it. Because, dude, are we separated or something?
I somehow somebody needs to do some explaining.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go talk to Pops.
Some explaining, Dulus.
Right. But let's talk a little bit about that, because, nowadays people lean to one side or the other. It's just like a pendulum. The pendulum is swung where you see some very exorbitant masculine features in born females, and the opposite way, you see some very feminine, extremely feminine features in those who are born male. And I'm not even talking about trans or anything like that. I'm talking about just general society. If you look on television, you see where the lines are so blurry that you're wondering where this person, how they fall into the fray if you don't know them.
So let's look at where this actually started, the shift. It actually goes all the way back to the industrial age. In the industrial age, before the industrial age, men worked in agriculture predominantly, right? They worked in the fields. Well, who else was with them? Well, the kids were often. The kids at that age, the word teenager didn't even exist until after World War II, by the way. It's a relatively new term, okay? So the industrial age, when it came around, took men from the field and being that template of character to their children and what masculine meant. And the mother, by the way, was out in the fields as well, often working, and they got the template from direct contact. When the industrial age came, it took men from the field and put them into factories. Where did children go? Well, that was the beginning of the public school system. And so the children went to a public school system, which was predominantly feminine.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of the trend. Then we have, fast forward, and we can look at the Rat Pack, right? Not the example of what a real man is. Okay. That's what we call the hypermasculine. And so there's actually 3 traits. Do you want to go into the detail about the different traits? We got time for that, or
we do
keep it high?
This is I make this to spotlight you guys so that someone's going to identify and have a track record to move forward with.
Got it. So without understanding your energy, and again, this is not male, female. It is not gender specific. We are both masculine and feminine. And I am reluctant to use that because there are some people that are listening that immediately put up a wall. Okay?
I'm going to give you a different approach. How's this? We are both yin and yang.
So each culture has a different way, different terminology to express energy. Okay? So in that energy, we have yin and yang, or yin and yang, whichever way you want to utilize it. In the Western Hemisphere, we typically call it masculine and feminine. In the masculine, you have 3 primary characteristics or energies. You have mission, freedom, and love. Now, you have 3 levels of masculine. You have level 1, which is what we call the Gunther, right? This is a guy that is going to intimidate you with his physical presence, with his dominating you by verbal threats, etc. Okay, we've all seen them. This is a man that is about mission. Clearly, he has a mission to be as large and in charge as he can be. And he's free in the pursuit of that. Nobody's making him lift those weights or be that way. Now, in today's modern world, we see that as somebody that exudes their presence as Gunther by their impressive title or the kind of car that they drive. So they dominate people with verbal threats. What's missing is love. Now, in level 2, this is what we call the person pleaser, because I'm not going to use the offensive. It really is. Can I use the offensive?
Use the offensive. No, use the offensive, because if it's too bad, I'll just bleep it.
Okay. It literally is called pussy boy. That's pretty bad.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah. And it's meant to be that offensive, to start to shake you out of this hypnosis that you're in. So when the feminine equality came in, look, the argument's over. Women are capable and beyond capable in the boardroom, in every aspect of life. They are competent, capable, and in many respects more capable than men. Okay. Yeah. The problem is that the feminism went too far, and it's in version 4, which said, ladies, you have to trade in the dress for a pair of slacks in order to belong at the boardroom. And what they never understood is that the feminine is more powerful than the masculine. Feminine energy is more powerful than the masculine. The only thing more powerful than feminine energy is masculine and feminine combined. So in level 2, this is what we call the person pleaser, so you don't have to bleep it twice. And this is a male that is typically defined by freedom and love, but he's lost his mission. He has no mission. And it, by the way, makes women really sick. It drives them nuts. They will leave a person pleaser, a man that doesn't know his mission, in a heartbeat before she'll leave the Gunther. Because she believes that she may not like that, but she knows that she will be safer with the Gunther, that he'll protect her, even though he's verbally and abusive in many ways. So what do we strive for? What I call the King Arthur, the level 3. And that is mission, freedom, and love, all 3 qualities. We have great examples. Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, on and on we can go. Mother Teresa, feminine that was a level 3 masculine. It is not gender specific, and I could go on with many. So that leaves us with the other 4 I'll go through quickly, and that's the feminine side. In the feminine, we have what's called the Queen Diva, and this is you could be at a funeral, Emmett, and she will be so overcome with distraught that somehow the focus comes off of whoever's in the casket and the spotlight's put on her.
Yeah.
We all have seen it.
I know those folks.
Level 2 is what we call the butch. And I'm going to give you a great example of this. So we're going to get into politics in a second here, okay? And then the level 3 is what we call the radiant woman, okay? So what are the 4 qualities? Adventure. If you look at all of the Disney fables, Disney did not create all these fables. They just animated them, right? Cinderella.
Yeah, those
Snow
are
White.
old tales, correct?
Yes, absolutely. In each of those, there is a feminine woman that is going off on an adventure, and there's always the masculine presence there to protect her. The 3 or the 7 dwarves, or however many dwarves there were, right? In Rapunzel, there's the prince, and initially that masculine energy is there reluctantly. They have a mission, but they aren't freely choosing that mission, so they're imprisoned by it, but they're doing it out of love. Okay, so they're missing that piece. And at the end of it all, they fall in love, and they have all 3 masculine qualities, right? They're choosing that mission freely from a place of love. So on the feminine is adventure. Women want a sense of adventure, okay? It allows them to flow. They want to feel safe. They want to fill up, and they want to speak their truth through love. So the commonality between both sides is love. So let me say it again. Adventure, filling up, feeling safe, and speaking the truth through love. Now, we've all experienced somebody who speaks their truth versus somebody who speaks their truth through love. Would you like an example?
Yes, I was waiting on that, and I wanted to talk about the filling up as well.
So let's look at in politics today. 2 great examples. I don't care which side of the party you're on, but I think people will identify with these 2 candidates. One became the president of the United States and one lost. So who knows their mission, is free in the pursuit of that mission, but is lacking love in the expression of it? Donald Trump. President Trump is missing love, and that's what pisses so many people off. They go like, the guy's got a mission. He's free in the pursuit of it, and he's passionate about it, but he's such a jerk in lacking love.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at Hillary Clinton, right? She has a mission. Okay, so each of us have all, how many is that? 7.
7.
I need two hands there. We have all 7. And so if we want a billionaire lifestyle, we need all 7. When we are missing one of those or more of those, we lose the ability to have the lifestyle that we deserve. Hillary Clinton traded in her dress and became butch, thinking that would appeal to people, and it didn't allow her to be vulnerable. She had a mission, but she lacked feeling safe. She lacked being vulnerable.
Hey, let me ask you something. Does this play into the 7 levels of intelligence?
Indirectly, yes.
Yeah, because I kept seeing that 7. 7 is a magical number, and I kept seeing that 7 pop up. And that's the first thing that came into my mind. I'm like, this plays into something else. And I'm always talking about how you have to balance out each one of your factors for you to really live fully. Some people can balance out. Some people can be extraordinary in one area. Think about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had this physical and mental strength, toughness, and he knew exactly what he wanted. Kobe Bryant was the same way. I'm using basketball because that's the sport I like the most.
But Michael Jordan wasn't always that way. Michael Jordan didn't make the basketball team when he first tried out.
Yes.
And then he made it his mission to get the skill set. He freely chose that mission to be the best and came back, and we know the rest of the story. But he pursued it from a place of love. And by doing that, by the way, he was seeking adventure. He did it, and it filled him up. By doing it, it made him feel safe, and he was able to speak his truth through love.
So when you say it filled him up, or we talked about filling up, you're talking about being made whole, feeling whole as far as filling up. Am I...
Charging your batteries, we can look at it in terms of a woman's purse versus a man. A man has a wallet. We take big things and we make them small. Women take little things and make them big. Now, I'm using some generic here, and I hope that I'm not offending anybody. If it is, think about those 7 traits and ask which one of those is missing at the moment.
But we're just
when you look at your calendar, ask yourself, are all 7 qualities. Do you have yin and yang? And if not, which of those 7 is missing? How can you add that in so that you can create that billionaire lifestyle?
That's a good point. You know, I don't think a lot of people think of it that deep. I think if I could get, like we said, we were talking about this earlier in the interview. If I could get this one thing, everything's going to be fine. If I could get that one job, if I could get that one raise, if I could get that car, if I could get, some people it's just like, I just want those rims and my car, my life will be fantastic. But it's not. That's part of it.
That smartphone.
It's right. That's me. It's a journey. It is literally a journey, and along the way, you are picking up all these qualities and traits that you need. And if you neglect one of them or forget a marker, you're going to be incomplete. You're going to be always searching for it till you find that missing piece. So that's really good what you were saying.
Yeah, and you know, for some people, they're going to question. Some people have had tragedy. Look, the reality is we've all had tragedy in our life. The question is whether you're using it as an excuse, as a crutch for your poor decisions moving forward, or whether it's an explanation. So if there's something here that's wounded you, it's not meant to wound you. It's simply trying to help you understand what will allow you to create that lifestyle that you're so desperately looking for. I have abundant and profound respect for women. This isn't a gender issue. The argument's over. They're capable in more ways than I am in many respects, right?
My wife proves that daily.
And okay, maybe we have the exception of maybe there's a woman out there that physically can do more than Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's the exception. So men generally are stronger, generally. But here's the important point, and this is where it gets, charged, is fine, let's take it and look at it from multiple cultures. The yin and yang. It's not a circle with a straight line. It looks like a fish.
Yep.
There is no completion. It's the journey. And it is the embracement of both. So when we are stressed and we want to transform that into success, it's that we're denying that other side of ourselves. So when we look at this from energy, one's white, one's black. What does that mean? Well, a lot of people are going to say, well, good versus evil or right and wrong. That is not at all how yin and yang is defined.
That's actually the total spectrum.
Energy.
Once you get them both together, you have a culmination of everything that you need.
So could ask anybody that wants to listen, would you kill somebody? Now, a sane person would say no, right? Right, Emmett? Your answer is no, I don't want to kill it.
Yeah. After you said, I freaked out a little bit when you said that.
So that's a positive energy, right? That's what people would say, oh, that's good. But that would be a misinterpretation of yin and yang. That's positive energy. It's nothing more than energy. Now, if I asked and said, okay, with your wife, somebody's holding a gun to her head and said, if you don't do this, I'm going to kill her. Would you kill them?
It's a wrap on that person.
Done. They're gone.
It's a wrap.
Same vehicle, same thing. That's the dark energy being manifested into a positive energy. And so it's that darkness in us that we try to hide, that we don't want to make ourselves vulnerable and share with people. But when we use it in the right force, it actually becomes exactly what we need, and it completes us. And so when we're trying to suppress that, what happens is in our society today, we take that like unbound, it's like, oh, it makes me anxious and I don't know what to do with it. And we turn it to porn or food addictions or workaholism or
I lost you there for a minute.
Uh-oh. Which part?
I lost like the last 10 seconds.
Okay. So let me recap that. You want me to do that?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay. So when we have all this bound up energy and we call it stress, because we don't know how to actually incorporate those 7 qualities. Those are 7 primary qualities, and there's a lot of other pieces underneath it. what ends up happening is we take that dark energy and we try to dissipate it through alcoholism, through pornography, through eating addictions, through workaholism, all these other addictions, because we don't have the tool set that allows us to create a lifestyle that is sustainable.
Gotcha. Hey, we're hitting towards that 1 hour mark, and I like to keep it digestible for people. You know, a good drive to work or a run or something like that. Now, we've hit purpose. We've hit language matters. We've hit scheduling a system of support. You know, when you're talking about taking your kids to school, we've talked about the masculine and feminine energy. Do you have any workshops that people can get more in depth with this besides the book?
So I try to create 3 different vehicles that allow people. And of course, each one has a different price structure. So it's kind of like how fast you want to get to China. Do you want to take the slow boat or do you want to take the jet, you know, that Mach 10? Each one has a different price, right?
Okay.
So if you're the kind of person that you're like, yeah, I really want to do the results through the book, you can get it in Kindle, paperback, or audiobook. I have a program going right now, Emmett, where if you buy any version of the book, I actually give you the 5-day Legendary Lifestyle Challenge for free. It's normally like $481. I give it to you for free. So if you want to see, do I have the structure? Do I have the base foundation to create a lifestyle that you deserve? Then I'm giving it to you for free. All you got to do is spend like $9 or $15, depending on the version of the book, and you get that.
Awesome.
For people who are like, I don't want the book at all, fine, just buy the course. But for other people who are like, look, I want the hands-on, I want weekly coaching, I want to be in a group of like-minded people that are going to support each other to create that lifestyle and really integrate that transformation, not just be motivated or inspired. I have a 12-week program that people can go through. And that's the one that I'm really proud of. It's based on the book, but goes even deeper. We've gone pretty deep today. Normally I don't go this deep.
Yeah. You know, it's those Michigan boys when they get together, man. Magic
you get me all passionate, get me all worked up.
The magic happens. Hey, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Do you have any last words for the Billionaire Lifestyle audience?
Go to chadecooper.com/challenge to find out about those different offerings. So that's where you can go. But, you know, there's an old African proverb that says, walk as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll be able to see further. Billionaires started with that first step. Marathons are one step at a time.
That's true.
And so if you want to create this lifestyle, it's not just about persistence, Emmett. It's about persistence and consistency. You can't just take 2 sticks and rub them for a little bit and stop, rub them for a little bit and stop, and think that you're going to create a fire. You have to have the persistence and consistency in order to ignite that fire that's inside of you.
That was a good one. You know, and that's one of the things that I always reinforce. I have to reinforce it to myself. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
And the only way you're going to do that is with your purpose, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Now, here's one thing that I do. Ladies and gentlemen, when you get out of the shower, go into the bathroom, go to wash your face, but preferably when you get out of the shower, here's something that I need you to do. I need you to wipe that steam off of the mirror. Then I need you to do something very simple. Just stop and take the time to look at the eyes that are looking at you, because there are no 2 eyes that are like that. I need you to appreciate yourself. I need you to love yourself. And if you have a hard time doing that, I want you to listen and think of my voice, because I'm going to say it. I love you. And if that is the little thing that you need to bring yourself up to the level where you love yourself, that is perfect. Because when you love yourself, that is infectious, and you will experience the love from others, and others will experience the love for you, and it will spread. Till next time, thank you so much, Chad.
A pleasure. Thanks, Emmett.
We are out of here. Have an awesome day.